Alright, my name is Alphonso Refutation, and today I will be talking to you about my opponent, Isabel's claim that the drinking age requirement does not work. Her three claims are that age restriction only limits access and it does not keep alcohol completely out of the youth's hands. Her second claim, it does not lower the amount of drivers under the influence, and the third, it drives drinking underground. Starting off with my opponent's first claim, according to my opponent, she has an article from the chairman of Students for a Sensible Drug Policy that states people younger than 21 cannot buy or possess alcohol in the U.S. Yet those age groups accounts for 17.5% of consumers spending alcohol nationwide. On the website MAD, the members of MAD opposed lowering the drinking age, declaring that drunken drivers' fatality skyrocketed after many states lowered the minimum age during the 1970s. And one thing she left out is that raising the age has saved 25,000 lives since then. So I stand here to say that the age requirement for consumption and possession of alcohol does work and helps keep alcohol away from underage drinking. Moving on to my opponent's second claim, according to my opponent, the DMV statistics of California, 1,000 licenses, 19.4% of DUI secured within the 19-year age range. While drinking and driving, it's relevant that any age teens have no safe place to consume, and it leads them to drinking behind the wheel. I go back to my first supporting point, and by raising the drinking age, it saved 25,000 lives, plus it has a decrease of 17% under the influence, so I stand here to say that at least by having a set minimum drinking age, it does lower the amount of drivers under the influence. Moving on to my opponent's third claim and last. Current education teaches to abstain from alcohol consumption rather than educate on responsible consumption. There could be classes for how much alcohol you should consume or how you shouldn't do being intoxicated, but it isn't going to stop underground neither binge drinking. The true problem here is that young adults are being pressured into drinking because of unsupervised parties and events. So I rebuttal that peer pressure is leading drinking to go underground and not age requirement or lack of education on responsible consumption. Tie it all up together, as you've seen, the drinking requirement does work because it does limit alcohol consumption and possession, and it also lowers the amount of drivers under the influence. And last, the age requirement doesn't strive drinking underground.
All right, Alfonso, you start off pretty well with a label of the proposition and what the secondary issues are that the advocate presented. So organizationally, we're taking the right step. On the first point, you've got a good signpost here, and you're taking a counter position suggesting that in fact there has been a decline in drunk driving accidents since the drinking age went back up to 21. And you also make reference to historical data that shows that drunk driving fatalities increased substantially when the driving age dropped down in several states. I think you need to clarify the information on this particular point because you are not giving us enough context here. There's historical data because, of course, the minimum legal drinking age went into effect in 1985. And so people are going, well, so it's been illegal for people under the age of 21 to drink since 1985. Well, that's true in some places. It's always been illegal in California, for instance, for people under 21 to drink. It was never legal for 18, 19, and 20-year-olds to drink in the state of California. And so we could either look at data from California exclusively, or we could look at those places where they did have lower drinking ages and what was the consequence in that situation. I think we talked about this a little bit. I think it would help to give that kind of context. You know, that in 1971, when the the voting age was dropped to 18, people looked at that and said, okay, a lot of states said if the voting age is going to be 18 and that's when people are adults, let's lower the drinking age to 18. That seems pretty fair. And a whole bunch of states did that. And then what happened in the next 10 years is what motivated the national minimum drinking law, all right, which was a substantial increase, like you did say, of drunk driving accidents. And there's a whole bunch of statistical information that suggests that. Your information here is very limited. You've got the conclusionary piece of data that says 25,000 lives have been saved since we passed the MLDA, and there's an earlier reference to, vague reference with no statistics to increased number of fatalities when the drinking age was lowered. That, like I said, that's like bare minimum information there. There's a lot more there that I think would make your argument a lot stronger on that particular point. On the second point, you're basically kind of using the same information to make the argument. There's a challenge to how much of the alcohol is consumed by people under age. You basically said, well, it doesn't matter one way or the other because we know that there clearly has been an impact on the drinking age being what it is because we've had fewer drunk driving accidents. So, you're putting all your eggs in the basket there of, this law has worked. And as I recall, there was an argument in the advocate's claim that suggested that there might have been some other reason that the drinking or that drunk driving accidents declined. And I didn't hear an argument being presented about that issue here. So it feels to me like that argument, it's a good point to make, but I'm not sure it's going to be a complete enough argument. And there's probably more information there that you need to respond to. I understood what the advocate's argument was on the third point. It's not clear to me what your argument here is. What the binge drinking results from peer pressure. They're saying it's because they're forced into underground situations. And your argument is that it's not the underground situations that create it, it's the peer pressure that creates it. I think if that's the argument that you're making, I think that that's a good argument, but you don't have any proof on it. You don't even have a hypothetical example to illustrate that. And to me, the easiest hypothetical example is to think of any frat party out there. Do you really think that lowering the drinking age to 18 is going to reduce drinking at a frat party? There's a hypothetical example right there, and my guess is it's extremely unlikely. In fact, it simply means that there'll be more beer available at the frat party because everybody will be bringing it. And this notion that drunk driving is going to be reduced or that the negative effects will be reduced because people have access to, open drinking, I think that's one of those places where you could point out, a whole bunch of the drunk driving takes place because people are drinking openly. They kill somebody driving home from a bar. Why is it better if they kill somebody driving home from a bar when they're 18, 19, or 20 than when they're 21, 22, 23? It isn't better. It's bad ever. All right. What they have to show, what you should be doing is arguing that it's their burden of proof to show that there would be a substantial difference and that they have simply described what the differences are and the conditions in which people drink, but is there going to be a difference in the outcome of their drinking? That's, I think, a burden that you want to put back on them, and you need to kind of force that issue a little bit. And I don't really think that you get that as effectively clear as it ought to be. All right, thank you.